Perona is a new boss, probably being added to the dungeons. The dungeons in the Thriller Bark dungeon, Perona, right? And so we are probably gonna get her because we have gotten a sneak peek of her shoes. And this is a new one, but we had an older one that was, very, very long in the past, which I made a video about. Now we've got some new stuff talking about Perona, and it's interesting because I believe she's gonna use the Horo because that's her fruit in the anime, and we are not only having that, we're also having ores. Now I'm not sure whether they both are mini bosses or one of them are mini bosses. It could be possible that you fight the mini boss will be Perona, and then you fight ores, or it could be the opposite where the mini boss is ores and then you fight Perona. It all depends, So I believe the mini boss will be Perona because I think she's weaker than ores, but I could be wrong. She could be actually stronger, but I am not sure. Altogether though, realistically, we're probably gonna fight Perona and ores together somehow, and we're gonna have a bunch of NPCs, just like the Cupid's dungeon is going to be added. He's been promising the Thriller Bark dungeon for the longest. I don't know when it's coming, but we have gotten a lot of sneak peeks of the Thriller Bark dungeon recently. And here's the deal, right? This dungeon will be probably similar to the Cupid's dungeon formula, and this formula is where you fight a bunch of NPCs, then you go to the next area until you come to the mini boss. The mini boss will now be Perona. You defeat Perona like Leo in the Cupid's dungeon. You move on, you fight the Cupid queen, which is now Urs, and then you get a bunch of drops. Even if there's no drops, you get a dare food at the end, and we get a dare food at the end. It's a guaranteed dare food if you beat the end. It's probably gonna take the same amount of time, or it could be possible that it takes longer than the Cupid's dungeon. As long as it's less than the regular dungeons, it's okay for me. One important thing you need to know is that in these dungeons, Beniro has said that he was thinking of adding droppable cosmetics for the ships. So now he wants to, I'm not saying that he promised or he's doing this, I'm just saying that he has been thinking about adding customizable stuff for a ship. So in this dungeon, let's say if it goes through with this, if it doesn't, then we'll notice, but if it goes through with this, you'll be able to get stuff from this dungeon, and within this dungeon you maybe get like let's say a new mast, or like the ship part that you can put on your regular ship, and now your ship looks different. You customize your ships. Now if you do that, that's going to be excellent, because now ships can actually look different from each other. Not everybody's going to have the same galleon that looks the same, and if that's the case, that's very, very good actually. But do remember, that's just a thought he had. That doesn't mean he's promised it, that doesn't mean he's working on it. We don't know if he's working on it or not. Listen though, he has also said that he wanted to add mazes and traps in this dungeon. He said that he will be adding mazes and traps and like obstacles in this dungeon, so it's not gonna be like, you can just pass through, just kill the mobs and just pass through. It's gonna be like you might fall into a pit maybe, or you might, enter a certain place and you might just get ambushed, or some weird trap pit, making it difficult. So like maybe so people don't like beat it super quickly, You're gonna make it, it's probably gonna be difficult so that people can't really, just run through it like the Cupid's dungeon, where people were doing dungeons in 8 minutes. And now, especially when we have 2 times Logia, 4 times Logia with the all-seeing eye, fruits will all drop in value if it's easy to do these dungeons. If these dungeons take like 8 minutes and everybody has all-seeing eye, fruits will be dropping so much. Imagine having basically the equivalent of a Cupid's dungeon, but with the all-seeing eye on weekends. You know how many legendaries you'd be getting? Like, if you do, let's say this dungeon, you do it in let's say you do it 10 minutes. You can do this 6 times an hour, right? And so that's a lot, because with all-seeing eye, you have a big chance to get a legendary. So let's say you get a legendary every, I don't know, 10 times or maybe 6 times. Boom, now you got yourself, a bunch of legendaries every hour. So if you do this for 5 hours, depending on your luck, you might be getting a bunch of legendaries, and so they'll drop a lot in value if it's that easy. So naturally, this dungeon has to be difficult, considering it's permanent. It's not a temporary like Cupid, it's a permanent dungeon. So that's very important to know as well. But overall, I can say is that I'm excited for this Thriller Bark dungeon. when it releases, we never know, but I hope it's soon. And hopefully you've liked this update as well. If you don't like this, I'm curious, why don't you want a filler bug dungeon? Do you think it's bad for the economy, trading economy? If that's so, check out the video I made yesterday about dungeons and about wave 50, a new update.